reporters that Jabin Magistrate Court has fined Hajia Fati, an outspoken member of the governing NPP, a sum of 10,400 cedis for the assault on Adom FM's journalist Ohima Sichua. The accused, when the incident occurred in May 2018, at the party's headquarters, said she assaulted the reporter for taking a photograph of her. Hajia Fati later stated she took the reporter for an onion seller because she failed to introduce herself as a journalist before taking the photograph. The court, presided over by Isaac Addo on Monday, June 1, after passing the judgment, cautioned that failure by Hajia Fati to pay the fine shall result in her incarceration for 20 months. Samson Ladianyenene is the counsel for the Adom reporter. He joins me via Zoom. Good evening to you. Many thanks for your time, Samson. Does this fine settle or put the matter to rest?
The court has come to the end of the case and has given its judgment. So, by virtue of the judgment having been rendered, the criminal case has also come to a close. If you would recall, the criminal case was delaying, and because it was taking too long and delaying, Multimedia decided to take a civil action. So Hajia Fati was sued in the civil court, civil way in the Human Rights Court, and that was determined long before this one, in which the court fined her or awarded damages of 10,000 cedis against Hajia Fati. In respect of that case, though, she has put up an appeal, even though since filing the appeal, her lawyers have filed about 3 different other processes, and 2 of them have all been dismissed by the court. There is 1 more pending at the Court of Appeal. We are hoping that they will attend. But the criminal one is actually prosecuted by the state on behalf of the victim. And this is when it came to an end. And so it was a question of assault, and she was found guilty of the assault. And instead of a custodial sentence, as in sending her to prison, the court and the law allows the judge to award a fine, and the fine was awarded for her to pay. If she was unable to pay, then she would have gone to jail.
Samson, you're a journalist and a lawyer as well. Considering there have been quite a few of these assaults on journalists, and also considering the fact that we're getting closer to elections where assaults on journalists are rife, would you say this is deterrent enough?
It certainly is not deterrent enough. In the civil matter, for example, where we had hopes and expectations that the damages that would have been awarded together with the costs would have been hefty enough to deter the, abrasive and quite criminal actions by the woman. But while the judge took time to lambast Hajia Fati and caution all other members of the public against trying to hurt journalists, it took the view that she could only award what was a total of 10,000. And then we come to the criminal matter, where some would have expected also that she would have been put to jail, because that's where the option of jail was available. And the court's decision in the end was that it should be a fine. I will agree with anybody who says the fines are not hefty enough. But again, when the courts are awarding fines, there are certain things that they look at. What has been your demeanor? What have been the extenuating or aggravating circumstances? If you have made pleas to mitigate your sins, you can receive forgiveness in the courtroom, even though the court is not a messy chamber. So all of these things are taken into consideration, but particularly with Hajia Fati in the criminal case, she and her lawyers did everything to frustrate the process. At the point, the judge had to issue a warrant for her arrest so that she could appear in court just so the judgment would be read. lawyers took very dangerous, oppositions against the judge and the way the judge was conducting the case, even though the judge was very, measured. His demeanor was always good, and he was not out there to let Hajia Fati sort of know where power lies. It's for some of us, it's actually surprised that in the end, he didn't insist that she would go to jail or the fines were not heavy. They had actually petitioned the Chief Justice against the judge. The Chief Justice threw their petition away. They filed an application saying that the judge, would be biased. Of course, all that applications, they lost them. We went to court to fight most of these applications, and all of them appeared to be frivolous without any basis. So the conduct of Hajia Fati herself in the process, it was the expectation of some that she will receive a hefty fine or, jail terms. But I think the judge has been very lenient with her. But you would realize also that the judge spoke about the fact that she's old. If you have met her, she's quite old, except that, she continues to engage in things that draw attention and gives the world a view of her that's quite bad.
I'm grateful for your time. Samson Lade Anyenene is the Council for Multimedia Group Limited. Okay, I want you to stay on because in court also today, an Accra High Court has asked for a hearing notice to be issued by lawyers for Lateef Idris, a multimedia journalist, and a multimedia group for the 22nd day of July 2020 at 1 p.m. to determine the progress of the case involving the complainant and the IGP. Now, Lateef Idris was on March 27, 2018, assaulted by policemen while covering a political demonstration at the CID headquarters. That assault has since left the journalist with a fractured skull and other medical complications. Counsel for Lateef Idris and Multimedia, Samson Lade Anyenene, is still on Zoom with me. Now, Samson, what appears to be holding up the case as we speak?
Right. So in the Lateef case, which is a very, very serious matter, because of the damage that Lateef has suffered as a result of the unconstitutional and illegal brutality and battery that was meted to him, the assault that he encountered. When the case was filed, it took the Attorney General, which is supposed to represent the police, it took them quite a while to be able to file their defense. And normally in our courts, they normally would entertain the states quite a bit when they are not pulling their weight. If it's against any ordinary institution or person, they may be quick to throw them out. But when it has to do with the state and the Attorney General's department and the police, sometimes the judges are a bit, hesitant because they seem to know the difficulties that they encounter. So that is how come it delayed initially a bit. Then eventually they put in their defense and sought to suggest, sing the same tune that the police seem to have been singing at the start, that, you can't identify the people, yes, even though he suffered whatever he suffered on their premises, you can't clearly identify the people, and so on and so forth. So we put in an application to the court for the court to compel them to supply us with their CCTV footage on the fateful day, on that particular occasion, and to supply us the list of the officers, the police officers who were also on duty on that day. And on the 6th of February 2020, this year, the court granted that prayer and compelled the police, that's the IGP, to produce the CCTV footage and also the list of police officers who were on duty on that day. This is what has taken them all this while to do. And so when we were in court, the decision eventually was that they should be giving a little time, hopefully that they will supply it by the next time we get to court. So that's where we are, and we are only hoping that they will supply those pieces of evidence without tampering with them, so that we can continue from that point on.
Court, or you appeared before the court, a lot happened. I'd like you to share with us what transpired on Monday and what this means for the case going forward.
Right, so like I said, where we are presently is that the police have been compelled by the courts to supply the CCTV footage for that day, so that we will be able to review for purposes of, facilitating a forward move of the case. Because their claim all along has been that the thing may have happened on our compound, but we can't identify who it is that did it. That's the point. There is no argument that Lateef was brutalized. There is no argument that there is evidence from the physicians so far that he has been hurt in a very substantial way, but for the grace of God, we may not see him do the things he's doing now, even though from what I know from the medical standpoint, what I have read about what the doctors have said about him, sometimes I'm surprised myself that he's able to do the things that he continues to do. And so once they supply it, we are hopeful that it will become very clear. Once it is supplied and it's not tampered with, it will become very clear who did the dastardly act, that cowardly, conduct, very unlawful and constitutional conduct. And then also, once we have the list, they supply the list as the court is compelling them to do, it will assist us. Then the case can now begin to move into the stage where the trial, so to speak, will start.
I'm extremely grateful for your time. Samson Lade Anyanene is counsel for Lateef Idris, a multimedia journalist, and also counsel for the Multimedia Group.